It seemed that J.J. Thomson arbitrarily and personally chose the data set that seemed to verify Einstein. The latter was catalyzed into instant fame and ceased to be a fallible scientist. It is now known that no set of experimental data could ever have verified the Einstein field equation because of its glaring errors in geometry, as argued already. In ECE theory, therefore, new and simpler field equations have been produced based on a correct geometry, one that properly uses a non-zero torsion and curvature. The bending of light by gravity, known technically as the relativistic Kepler problem, has been explained in a new way using an orbital theorem based on spherical isotropy, uniformness of spacetime U of t 111 of this series. The rigorously correct version of the flawed first and second Bianchi identities of the obsolete cosmology was given by Élie Cartan in the early 20s. This author has produced a new form of the Cartan identity using a mathematical method known as the Hodge transformation. This new identity is known as the Evans identity and proves itself without further ado in UFT 137 of the series and in earlier proofs of this series. The identity plays a central role in the new cosmology and shows that every single solution of the Einstein field equation fails because of the neglect of torsion. Both Cartan and Evans identities are rigorously true and self-checking. They prove themselves in that one side of the identity is precisely the same as the other when written out in a particular way. These rigorously correct identities are used as the basis for the field equations both of dynamics and electrodynamics, thus unifying physics for the first time in the shape of ECE theory. The latter has met with complete professional acceptance outside areas of vested academic interest in failed cosmology. It is not in the interest of failed academic dogmatists to accept new reason. But these zealots and anti-scientists are a tiny minority. Using site feedback data from computers, it is now possible to measure precisely the impact of ECE theory and to measure it in many ways. The impact is unprecedented and sustained, signaling the emergence of a major paradigm shift in physics. The Evans identity balances the covariant derivative of torsion on one side of the equation with a particular type of curvature on the other. The identity may be used, as in this series of papers and books, on www.AIAS.us, to test the many erroneous solutions that proliferate solutions of the erroneous Einstein field equation. These solutions all assume that torsion vanishes, so the curvature tensor in the Evans identity should vanish too. Of course, it does not. The basic Einstein field equation itself is erroneous precisely because of its assumption of zero torsion. In other words, its assumption of a symmetric connection. In order to demonstrate this to the impartial intellectual, many metrics have been tested in this series of papers, for example, papers UFT 93, 96, 117 and 120. These metrics are all exact analytical solutions of the Einstein field equation. These metrics are the very basis for the lurid TV programs on Big Bang, black holes and Daleks. In this book, all the main black hole and Big Bang metrics fail the test of the Evans identity, so the Big Bang never existed, and there are books full of criticisms on it. Recently, the Hubble Space Telescope has shown that Big Bang never happened. The academic system that insists on a fundamentally erroneous physics has disintegrated into useless self-glorification and has lost any authority it may imagine itself to have had over thought. There is never authority over individual thought. Time and time again in the course of history, dictators and bigots have learnt this lesson. The very simple method we have used to disprove the Einstein equation begs the question of why it has managed to survive for over 90 years in the teeth of so much criticism. Even stranger is the fact that millions are spent on spacecraft designed to prove an equation which is hopelessly unable to describe the proliferation of galactic orbits throughout the universe. Indeed, the latter has to be filled with dark fudge because of the complete failure of the Einstein field equation to describe galactic orbits, which are commonplace observables of astronomy. Einstein himself was always uncertain about the basic validity of his equation, especially after discussions with Carnot in the 1920s. These discussions showed Einstein that he had neglected torsion. At that point in time, it should have been realized that the connection is anti-symmetric, and the Einstein field equation abandoned in favor of a torsion-based cosmology. It is assumed that such a course of action was not taken because the commutator method of generating curvature and torsion simultaneously was either not known or not understood. The absurd notions of Big Bang and black holes were abandoned by Einstein himself in about 1939 in a little-known paper that is not mentioned by contemporary TV zealots, our latter-day corruptors of scientific enlightenment. It seems that self-aggrandizement, thirst for fame and money, has taken over academia when it comes to general relativity in cosmology. It is easy now to make those lurid animations and mathematical garbage can be beautified by computer. In sinister and dark speculation, it may be that the field equation is being kept alive merely to acquire money from the general public. It is tied up in string theory to make it look impressive, but all the strings in the world will not mend the ghastly error of the commutator symmetry. A string theory metric that pretends to be a solution of a failed field equation has been tested in UFT 120 and fails the test of the Evans identity along with all black hole metrics. So hammered into the mind of students is the field equation, warts and all, that any notion, any inkling that it may be wrong is dismissed as lunacy. This is the traditional way of all bigots. This mentality was first described by Plato, on which Bacon based his ideals of the cave philosophy, the foundation of all science. The inhabitants of Plato's cave are able only to see the dancing flicker of shadows on the walls. This is their only perception of reality. One of their number wanders into the world outside, which is filled with sunshine. He is amazed at the beauty of nature and describes this beauty to the cave dwellers. They do not believe him. Their world is one of murky shadows, fantasies and dreams of their own making. The nightmare that besets us scientists now is that failed equation which was plastered into the minds of the unsuspecting public. The beauty of nature deserves better than this. As Walter Pater wrote, many attempts have been made by writers on art and poetry to define beauty in the abstract, to express it in the most general terms, to find some universal formula for it. That formula is not the Einstein field equation.